Hello, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I'm making this channel to answer questions about the LDS faith, as there's many channels on YouTube, mostly negative information about the LDS faith. And so I thought I'd create a channel to answer questions in an LDS perspective, and a way that then you can get answers to your comments and questions that you have about the LDS faith. I'd like to start at my blog, YouTube blog, with a video about prophets, what are prophets, and what is the LDS doctrine, what is doctrine with the LDS faith. And just like with any church, I mean, I've been on a 2-year mission to the Bible Belt, and I know that you can knocking doors, talk to 10 Christians and get 10 different answers on what's doctrine. What does the scripture mean? You get 10 different answers. So it's no different in any church. And if the LDS faith, what we believe is our doctrine is found in scripture. Scriptures meaning our Book of Mormon, the Bible, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. And in fact, there's a good quote I like by Joseph Fielding Smith. He wrote, "It makes no difference what is written or what anyone has said. If it has been said is in conflict with what the Lord has revealed, we can set it aside. My words and the teachings of any member of the church, high or low, if they do not square with the revelations, we need not accept them. Let us make this matter clear. We have accepted 4 standard works as the measuring yardsticks or balances by which every man's doctrine is attested. You cannot accept the books written by the authorities of the church as standards in the doctrine, only in as far as they accord with the revealed word in the standard works." Okay, so that was Joseph F. Smith telling us what's doctrine. Here's Harold B. Lee later on saying, "If anyone, regardless of his position in the church, were to advance a doctrine that is not substantiated by the church works, meaning the Book of Mormon, the Bible, the Doctrine and Covenants, the Pearl of Great Price, you may know that that statement is merely his private opinion. The only one authorized to bring forth any doctrine is the president of the church, who, when he does, will declare it as revelation from God, and it will be accepted by the council of the 12 and sustained by the body of the church. If any man will speak doctrine which contradicts with this, you may know that the same token it is false, and you're bound to accept it as you're not bound to accept it as truth." So, to me, that's clear. If your pastor in a church came into church one Sunday and started preaching, something you knew wasn't in the Bible, you would know that's not doctrine. Now, the problem sometimes arises in the LDS faith, because in the early days of the church, every talk was copied by a scribe, and some of these talks were hour-long talks, and many times, they were misquoted, or they put their own interpretation on it. So we have books filled, the Journal of Discourse as they call them, or the History of the Church. Some of those things are talks that were hours long that you can read them in 20 or 30 minutes. So we know it's a condensed version, we know it's interpretation by the scribe, and we know they may have got some of it wrong. It might have been some of their interpretation. Okay, so you have comments by the big one that the anti-Mormons like to bring up is, that Joseph said there was men on the moon. Well, that was a common 1800 belief system at the time, and nobody really knew, and Joseph may have fell into believing that and made a comment about it. Doesn't mean it was doctrine, doesn't mean he was professing it as doctrine. As the quote I just said, to be accepted as doctrine, it has to go through the president to the council of the 12, and sustained by the body of the church, and then it's added to our scriptures, becomes canonized. So, pretty clear. If you're reading some scripture or some quote about a Mormon prophet that he said something that is not found in our scriptures, we are duty bound to reject it, as Harold B. Lee said. And so a lot of things that the prophet said maybe have been their opinion, they might have been misquoted. That's why we go by our standard works of the church. Now, prophets, can they make errors? Yeah, we know that some of the prophets have made errors in the past. They've let their fallible nature opinions come into the church at times, and we know that those opinions did not correlate with the Scriptures. Okay, it happens. The New Testament is full of letters to the outstanding churches of Christ's church, correcting doctrine. The apostles having to go out and correct doctrine. You know, it happened then, it happens now. We're all fallible in nature. Only one man who ever walked the earth was pure, or was perfect. So let's lay that to rest, first of all. Second of all, prophets, it's a biblical fact that prophets can make mistakes. Okay? If you want to go by the Bible, does the Bible have prophets in there that made mistakes? Yes, it certainly does. And I'm going to find those really quickly. Tell you a couple examples. Okay, and let's see here. Let's see. Bear with me one second. Okay, here we go. Apologize for that. In the book of Joshua, there was a prophet Joshua was fooled by a false report from the Gibeonites in Joshua 9. Okay, he was fooled. Prophets, they have the gift of revelation. They are seers, but not every second of every day. A prophet does not know all about math or science or geography or the stars or the universe. He doesn't know all. He only knows what's been revealed to us at this time. And we all learn line upon line, truth upon truth, here a little, there a little. We don't learn it all at once. Okay, so there's a biblical example of a prophet being fooled. Okay, another one, the blind prophet Isaac was fooled by his son into giving his patriarchal blessing that was meant for his brother. Okay, so another example in the Bible of a prophet being fooled. Okay, I'm sure they're seers and revelators, but that doesn't mean they're perfect men. You know, we all are at different levels of spirituality, including prophets. Another one. There's another one in Genesis 27:12, and another one in 1 Kings 13 of a prophet being fooled by the lies of others. Okay, so there's at least 4 examples in scriptures of prophets being fooled. Okay, many of the 12 apostles made a lot of errors. Many of them went around. For example, Judas, he fell from grace through sin, as the scriptures say. So we know that it can happen. We know that the apostles and prophets aren't perfect. So whenever you're talking to a Mormon and you bring up a quote, it's found in the Journal of Discourses, it's found in the history of the church, know that it's not doctrine. Know that it could have been an error. It doesn't match up, or it doesn't fit the scriptures, the Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price, and that's why it was not added to as scripture or as doctrine for the LDS faith. Okay? Prophets are a biblical fact. God has always had prophets. He said in Ephesians 2 that his foundation of his church would be built on the foundation of apostles and prophets. Very clear. Christians you talk to about that scripture will twist it all kinds of ways. I've heard at least 15 different explanations of what that means, including it doesn't say that the foundation is built upon a foundation of apostles and prophets. It says Christ is the foundation. No, it says in the very next sentence that Christ was the cornerstone. Okay, the foundation was the apostles and prophets. Okay, only one church that I know of on the earth today even claims 12 apostles and prophets. Okay, a lot of Christians will say, "Oh, they were supposed to be done away with." Well, Judas was replaced. Okay, so if they were supposed to be done away with, after the original 12, why did they replace with the first one? So we believe that prophets are a biblical concept. We believe that they've always been. God will always use them. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, as we always seem to hear from Christians, but then they forget about that when they talk about prophets and apostles. The apostles were sent 2 by 2 into the world to preach the gospel and to baptize. Okay? Baptism, another good example of a word twisting that we see from Christianity. What does baptism mean? Well, Christ was baptized. He was baptized in water. Okay, you show them Mark 16:16, where it says the qualifications for salvation are belief and baptism. He sent the apostles into the world to preach the word, and those who believed would be baptized. And what does baptism mean? Well, obviously what Christ did. Why was Christ baptized if he was perfect? How much more important is it for us to be baptized? So, baptism is very essential according to the Bible, according to prophets who tell us those things are necessary. Now, from what I hear from Christianity about baptism in Mark 16:16, is that it means something different. Who knows what? I've gotten literally